DevilNeverCry.
Have you ever wondered why DMC2 is the way it is? Why Dante is so different to how he originally was in DMC? Well, in today's video, we're going to be going over a few key choices Capcom made that essentially led to the troubled history of DMC2, which at this point is very well documented, but with the game's 19th anniversary here, I thought it would be a good time to talk about it. I mentioned DMC2 had a troubled history, and I mean it in every sense of the word. DMC2 was critically panned, it didn't do well with reviews whatsoever, yet it still managed to sell. People loved the original game so much, they put all their hopes and dreams into the promise of a sequel, bought it likely day one, and then soon realized that it was nothing like its predecessor, and I mean that DMC2 is a step down in every aspect when compared to the original Devil May Cry. How exactly did that even happen? How did Kamiya, who made the first Devil May Cry, directed it should I say, come out with an absolute stinker of DMC2? And therein lies the first problem. They didn't bring the director back for DMC2. In a recent interview with the channel Cutscenes, Hideki Kamiya goes on to clarify that he only learned of DMC2 being an actual project when a planner from another division in Capcom came to ask him for the original design documents for Devil May Cry. And just like any other normal human being, Hideki Kamiya asked this planner what exactly he needed these documents for, at which point he was told that the planner would be the director for DMC2, the sequel to Kamiya's hit game. And yes, this planner is touted as the original director of DMC2, though they are not named directly. Many of you who know Capcom's history can probably do a little bit of snooping around and figure it out. But getting back on topic, at the time of the original Devil May Cry's release, Capcom's Division 1, the arcade development group that they have, was struggling to make a hit title, and so when DMC blew up and sold fairly well, the decision was made to have them tackle DMC2, whilst Kamiya and his team were moved on to another project. So, right out of the gate with DMC2's development, we know that Team Little Devils, the team put together by Kamiya who created the original Devil May Cry, did not return to work on the sequel. And Daigo Ikeno, who is credited as the concept designer for DMC2, goes on to state in an interview in the 3142 DMC art book that Funamizu-san, the lead of Division 1, basically gave the DMC2 team free rein, encouraging them to do what they wanted. At first, the protagonist wasn't even going to be Dante, but rather some guy with a green jacket. Looking back at the game's fundamentals, like the visuals and overall designs, we didn't take the parts of DMC1 that the players really loved into account well enough, so the second game felt very artificial. I think our attitude was a little too much, we're gonna make it how we want to, and there wasn't enough recognition of the fact that DMC2 was only happening because of the success of the original Devil May Cry. The whole idea of putting a new team and director on the sequel to a hit project without even telling the original director and getting them to assist doesn't really make all too much sense to me, but we're gonna get into how much of a bad idea that was in a second. First, I want to talk about Dante and why exactly he was so different, and of course there is an answer to it all. In the very same interview with Daigo Ikeno, he goes on to state, Dante's sudden change into a more sullen character was the producer's decision, the producer of DMC2 of course being Tsuyoshi Tanaka, who also worked on DMC3. And this was because he didn't like the joke-cracking wise-ass that Dante was in the original. The team agreed, and that was the direction we went in. And so there you have it, the truth laid bare about Dante's strange personality change in DMC2. It essentially all boiled down to the fact that one important person didn't like Dante's lame-ass jokes in the original Devil May Cry. I still remember the funny fan theories that people had where DMC2 was set so far in the future of the series that everybody Dante knew and loved was dead, and that's why he was constantly depressed, which Capcom of course then retconned because they moved DMC2 in the chronology of the series to before DMC4, which makes the jump from sullen Dante in DMC2 to wacky woohoo Pizza Man in DMC4 all the more stranger. But with that said, let's meander our way back to DMC2 and its development. It turned out to be a very bad idea to give the DMC2 team essentially free reins to the project, and when things were going south quite quickly, they brought in Itsuno. In an interview, Itsuno goes on to state that he was brought in to help the DMC2 team during the second half of development, with only 6 months left before the deadline. And when you think about it, 6 months is no time at all, especially when it comes to game development. 6 months to pull together a team and a project is absolutely wild, but it gets worse. Continuing on in the same interview and asked to clarify what Itsuno meant when he stated he had a supplementary role in DMC2, he goes on to state that it was phrased as supplementary, but I was really the director. There was a lot of drama over my replacing the old director, and I have nothing but bad memories about that part in particular. But basically, they said that nothing was getting done, and that needed to change. The scenario hadn't been written, the cutscenes had yet to be shot, and they hadn't decided what to do about Dante's Devil Trigger. They had determined that the Stinger attack was essential, so at least they had someone who was going to take care of that. But none of the other attacks had even been worked on at all. Which is horrifying to read and absolutely astounding. No scenario, no cutscenes, not even any attacks. What exactly was even going on during the development of DMC2? It's shocking to see this, especially considering that they had DMC1 in the palm of their hand. They had the blueprints, the layout, the foundation for this game that they could have iterated off of or innovated off of, or even simply straight up just copied, and people would likely have enjoyed it more than they enjoyed DMC2. But then to also be put on a project 6 months before the deadline when there's nothing, not even a skeleton for you to build off of, is crazy. And it's no surprise that Itsuno essentially demanded to make a sequel because he didn't want to be remembered as the man who made DMC2. And with that, we come to the end of this video. As I mentioned, it is the 19th anniversary of DMC2, so let me know down in the comments below some of your feelings and memories when it comes to this game. I know many of you will have a lot of things to say, so I look forward to reading them all. Of course, if you enjoyed today's video, do be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing, as it all helps the channel. With all that said and done, it has been me, DevilNeverCry. I would like to thank all of you for watching, and as always, I'll see you all next video.